Hey y'all, thanks for tuning into the Nintendo Drive. If you're hanging out with us on YouTube, be sure to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell icon so you never miss an episode. Or if you're getting cozy and listening to us on your podcast feed, make sure you're following and leaving us nice reviews. You can also support the show on Patreon and pick up some awesome merch. Links to those and more are in the description, but let's get the show started.
You guys, I have waited so long for this moment here. Waited so long for exactly what we're seeing right now here live on youtube.com/carpoolgaming. Sitting here, gathered here this evening with two of my friends to chat about the Super Mario Brothers movie. You got me, Seth, you got Locklith, of course, and very special guest joining us from the Nintendo Powercast, Cheezy. What's up, dude?
Hey, guys. Thank you for having me. This didn't go as well as planned. I got the AMC question mark bucket from the Mario movie, and I thought I would put it over my head and kind of make a reveal. Turns out it's not that deep, so it didn't go as I thought it would.
Oh, like the bucket is not that deep.
Yeah, because it's I got a long head, so
gotcha. I got one of them long heads too, dude. I feel you on that front. It's whenever I hear it's not that deep, I hear it in like a mean girl voice. Like it's not that deep.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's what I hear. Yeah. And you know what? I when it comes to thinking about Mario, I am told that a lot. But we'll get into all of that. Cheezy, thanks so much for coming on, dude.
Thanks for having me.
I'm a big fan of you, and I like just your positive light in the Nintendo community, and I can't wait to chat with you about this movie. Guys, we are going to, just so that everybody knows, right here on Front Street, spoiler free. You can watch this in confidence, listen to this in confidence. We're not going to spoil this movie for you all. But I will also say, if you're watching us live right now, in the chat, there is a 0 tolerance policy for spoilers in the chat. 0 tolerance. I've got Locklith on watch with the banhammer in her hand. She will hit you with that POW block faster than you could possibly imagine, y'all. So no spoilers. My policy for spoilers is like, if it's not in the trailers, you probably shouldn't talk about it. You know what I mean? That's kind of my policy with it. I don't know. Anyways, I got a couple of little matters of housekeeping I want to get into really quickly. First of all, like I said, we're gonna chat with Cheezy. We're gonna talk about the Mario movie. We're gonna answer some community questions. I want to welcome a brand new patron to patreon.com/carpoolgaming at the exclusive tier. Welcome to Mustafa. Welcome and thank you for your love and support. We really appreciate it. They get all kinds of exclusive content, including the Nintendo Drive post show, for joining at the exclusive tier. So welcome on in, Mustafa. We really appreciate it. And I also want to quickly shout out, this is episode 99.5. I don't know if you knew that, Cheezy. I don't know if you remembered 99.5. They said it couldn't be done. I said, you know what? I'm doing it anyway. I don't care. I just don't care. I'm doing it anyways, because we bumped into this issue where last week, of course, was episode 99, and we wanted to celebrate this movie, and they very inconveniently released this movie the same week we would have been doing episode 100. That won't fly. So 99.5, it is. Next week is episode 100. What I have done is I have put in the Discord a couple of options for people to be involved with next week's episode 100 celebration. You can send me an audio or a video clip. It could be you saying like, hi, I'm me. I love the Nintendo Drive. Here's my favorite moment or whatever. You could take a clip from your favorite moment from the Nintendo Drive. Whatever you want to do, send it in and we will make sure it is involved next week with the celebration. In episode 100. There are a couple ways to do that. I'll have links in the description so that you guys have access to that. We got a Google Drive. We got a written form that I'll read on the show as well if you want to be involved. So there are a couple of ways you can get involved with episode 100. So, anyways, that is all rigmarole, y'all. I want to ask what everybody's been playing. Cheezy, we'll start with you, my friend. You're our guest. What have you been playing, dude?
So I've been trying to finish Bayonetta Origins, Cereza and the Lost Demon.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not in the sense of like this game is dragging on. I mean, it is a long game, but I just haven't had time to beat it. And I think I'm pretty close. I love that game. Like I heard you guys talk about it, and I agree with most of what you said, but I do think it's going to be kind of a hidden gem that people kind of passed up on. And for me, like I haven't played a Bayonetta game before, so I know that it's not the same as the other Bayonetta games, but I love it. Like I think it's fun. Love, maybe not is the right word, because there's times where it's frustrating. But overall, like it's something that has really surprised me that I didn't think that I would even pick up.
Nice. Good. I'm glad you're liking it. I liked it, but yeah, definitely that game is long, isn't it? Like, isn't it crazy how long that game is?
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Did you get to like how far did you get?
I finished it. I did
finish. Oh, you did finish it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I did finish it, but I have no desire to go back and get like all the collectibles and the wisps and all. I'm good. Like that game just Lockleth is shaking her head disapprovingly at me over this.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I guess Cheezy and I are similar in that. Like, this is my first Bayonetta game too. I don't know the lore. It's fun. It's obviously I wasn't introduced to the wildness that was woman version of her, and the fast paced of that game. But I like cozy games, so this is just kind of my up my alley. So I'm still working on it. I haven't finished it either, but I also haven't played it since it came out. So it's just kind of sitting there right now. I've played it off
endorsement
and on.
If ever I heard one.
I've played it off and on, like because I'm not like creating content from it, so it's just whenever I think about it. But I have several games that I do that with, so I think it'll take me a while to get through it. But I'm in no rush. Not trying to move on.
For me, the weirdest part of it is that it wasn't advertised as a 2-player game, because it totally could have been.
Right.
Because it's like most of the time when I'm playing with my Switch, I play Pro Controller, even though I have most of the Joy-Con and they're just sitting there collecting dust, which is shameful. But you could easily just pass a Joy-Con to the person that you're playing with, and they can control the demon or they can control Cereza. It should have been a 2-player game, like advertised as one.
Yeah. Yeah, it should have been Cereza plus the Lost Demon. Somebody is Cereza and somebody is the Lost Demon, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That would have been perfect. Yeah, because you could do it if you played it that way. And I bet you it would, honestly, I didn't try playing it that way, but I bet it would be a more enjoyable experience. Because I don't know, man. That was a huge problem for me. It never, over the course of like the 20 hours I spent with that game nearly, it never clicked. Like it never felt good to me to control both of those characters at once. I don't know.
It kind of just feels like one character you're controlling really well, and then the other one maybe had too much special cola, and they just are like kind of wobbling along, like I never could figure out how to get them to move at the same time. We would see like ads that Nintendo would put on Twitter, and they're moving like fluently, and I'm like, there's no way.
Right.
How did they do that?
Yeah, they got some of those marketing folks in there co-oping it without revealing that they're co-oping it. Cheezy, I saw you were putting in the work for Splatfest, huh? This past one.
I noticed that too. This past weekend, like I was like, "Dang, Cheezy is on this game."
I feel anytime Splatoon comes up on this show, I reference Cheezy, and there's a reason for that.
Oh, it was disappointing though, because like I have not won a Splatoon 3 Splatfest yet. And
really?
Yep.
Oh, no.
I'm 0-6. So everybody thinks that Fry is bad, but I've not won a Splatfest yet. And I put in work. That's the disappointing thing, is like I'm putting in the hours. I'm showing up. Mr. Grizz isn't paying me anything, even though he wouldn't pay me for Splatfest, but still he should. I really felt like I was playing like the best I've ever played. And then you just get the rug pulled under you.
Oh my gosh.
Poor There's been 6 of those though, the Splatfest.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
That is wild. I feel like it just came out. I don't know why. Like, I'm not even playing it, but I felt like it just came out.
It came out 7 months ago.
Yep.
Oh.
Isn't that wild?
That is
That's
wild.
crazy.
I don't know though. Like, I am not that big of a Splatfest fan of Splatoon 3, I think. And it's not because I haven't won one. It's just Tricolor is not as much fun as what Shifty Stations were in Splatoon 2.
Right. Yeah, I don't really care for the Tricolor either. In fact, I typically find whenever I'm doing Splatfest, I just like stick with normal Turf War. Like even in the final, like I don't know. And I didn't play this last one not because I wasn't interested in it, but I just didn't like have the opportunity really to play.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't Team Nessie won?
Team Nessie won. Yeah.
Yeah.
For the clout areas. So like when it's being scored, they won the open Splatfest and then the series Splatfest, which is just, are you playing with friends or are you just playing by yourself? But Aliens won popularity and the sneak peek, which is like shells that you can win a week before the Splatfest.
Right.
And Bigfoot had a popularity of 8%, and they still won in one of the categories.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's almost more interesting to me than playing it. Like the stats after it's all over.
I don't really like them so much. I wish that they would go in the favor that I want them to go in.
Fair. Yeah, fair. So what team did you play for?
I was Team Alien.
Team Alien? Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're doing Tricolor, it didn't make any sense because that had the most, it was like the most popular when people were voting for teams. And you get into Tricolor and it's just a bunch of mirror matches. So it's like, well, what's the point? Like, I think Tricolor is a cool idea, but if it's not going to work properly, it's just disappointing.
None of this makes sense to me, y'all. I don't know what we're talking about. You might as well drop me in a math class. I don't know what's going on.
Beep beep pop. We're speaking a different language. Locke looks like, what are you speaking blips and bloops over there?
They have become aliens. I have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, we're actually Team Alien over here. Cheezy, anything else you've been playing that you wanted to shout out?
No. Nope.
Okay. All right. Lockleth, what have you been playing, my friend?
Well, I've been playing a little bit more of Chia, and I won't get into that because
Chia.
Yeah,
sorry,
Chia. It's just you have to say it that way. There's just no way. It must be done. Played a little bit of that. That's another one of those I just play off and on because it's not, if it's not a handheld game on the Switch, I tend to not play it because that's how I usually play is handheld.
Same. Yeah.
And actually, I realized now that the game that I did have written down for tonight is also not a Switch game right now, but it's coming to Switch. So,
okay.
I played the prologue or the demo of Fall of Porcupine: Last Days of Summer.
Oh yeah,
what a title!
That is a title.
It's very long, but the only reason I played it was for one, Fulia suggested it to me because you play as the main character who is a pigeon, and I always say here on the show, I have a mind of a pigeon. I can never remember anything. So I was like, oh, well, it's got a cute little pigeon. You're a doctor in training of sorts. And the art style looks cute. The music's great, of course. But it was fun. The puzzles were not something I've come across before. Like it's all like action, like to buttons, like it tells you which button to press at a certain time.
Like quick time events.
Yeah. I don't know words. My mind is a pigeon, y'all. Okay. Those things, fancy words, whatever Seth wants to call it. I just press buttons and it works. I don't know. But it has interesting puzzles like that. But I'm excited. It is coming to Switch. I think you told me that, Seth, right?
It is. I think the demo is even on Switch,
Is
if
it
I'm not
really?
mistaken. Yeah, I had looked that up. I'm pretty sure you can even get the demo on Switch, which is cool. That isn't always the case. A lot of
Mm,
times, developers, especially smaller developers like that, will not have their demo on Switch, and I think this one is. This was on my radar too. I think this was at a Wholesome Games or something like that. And it looks very Night in the Woods, which is a game that is very near and dear to my heart. So
yeah,
yeah.
it like left you on like a cliffhanger, like at the very, very end of
Mm,
it. And I just want to know what happens because it's like it gets
yeah,
real weird at the very end.
I love it.
Mystery type, kind of like Life is Strange type of situation, it felt
Okay.
like. That's what it reminded me of anyways. But yeah, it was super fun. I'm super excited for it. I think I vaguely remember seeing it at a Wholesome Games event thing, but yeah, I just Fulia suggested it and I was like, I'll play it. And I was like, and then I just fell in love with it. It obviously didn't take me very long to fall in love with it because you're a
Yeah,
pigeon. So like how could I not like
you're a
it? So
pigeon. How could you
yeah.
not like it?
Yeah. Check.
Yeah.
Checks all the boxes.
Box
One box.
box
Is
is
there a
checked.
pigeon? Yes. Okay. Cool.
Checks the one box.
Yep. One box.
Chia also has a
Nice.
pigeon, right?
You can be a pigeon. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Ooh,
Got it
we're
now.
seeing a common theme.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one box is checked in both of those games. Yeah. I'm definitely interested in that one. What else? What else has been going on, Lockleth, other than Chia and porcupines, pigeon porcupines?
Well, more Breath of the Wild, of course. I've been going through
Yes.
proper playthrough of that game. Um, I don't think I'll get done with it before Tears of the Kingdom comes out, but that was not my intent. It was
You don't got
initially.
200 hours laying around?
Oh
Come on
God.
now.
Well, all I'm doing is streaming it, so that's the other thing too. Like it's gonna take me twice as long
Mm.
to get through it. And by the time we get to May,
Mhm.
everyone's gonna move on to the new games. So I'll probably wherever I end up, unless people just want to see me finish it, I will probably drop it for Tears of the Kingdom. So we'll see.
Can't
What a
believe how
game
close
to
it is.
to stream too, because like you already get distracted in that game. Not just you, Lockless, but just like in
I
general.
was like, you read me so well, Cheezy.
But like you're reading chat and
Mhm.
also just trying to play Breath of the Wild, getting distracted everywhere. Like that's not a game that I have streamed, but I can only imagine how it's got to be very, very hard to focus.
Yeah, it's hard for me to focus on anything. But also cheesy as well. Like I've never, when I first bought the game, I never
Mhm.
got my glider, so I never
Oh,
played. I never really played Breath of the Wild ever before. So this is like my actual like I'm way further than I was initially. So it's all like
wow.
brand new. So I think that's the
Congrats.
other reason that I know nobody else, everyone else has finished it. And everyone's like, I wish I could have that moment back.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I think that
Yeah.
my like my newness to it is a little different because I am streaming it too. So it is a little bit different, but it is I have my like no spoilers thing, you know.
Mhm,
Just
mhm,
like we don't
mhm.
want spoilers
Much
tonight.
like
Like I
tonight.
yeah, I do the same thing. I have a pinned comment that says please don't, help unless I ask, which sometimes I
Yeah.
do ask. Um but I don't even know where I was going with that. But it's funny, I'll get to a point where I figure something out and then everyone's like, surprise, like in the chat. I was like, y'all just knew this and you're just waiting. They're like, well, we didn't want to spoil it. I was like, that's true. That's true. So
That's funny. Yeah. Well, look, man, we're not far now. We're like a month and a few days away from
Crazy.
Tears of the Kingdom.
yep.
Before you know it, just like Justin Timberlake always said, it's gonna be May. Oh my gosh.
Wah, wah.
I I had to go for it. The only thing that I've been playing is just Diablo 2. Diablo 2 Resurrected is it. That's literally it this past week. I've been sick. I'm just getting over what I'm pretty sure I had COVID. And I'm getting over it. I'm feeling much better this week, and I literally just like I streamed it for like almost 4 hours the other day. At a certain point, I was taking Dayquil and singing Rockadoodle at some point in there, and you know what? We made it though. I'm on the other side of it. We out here, and I'm feeling much better this week. But that's like literally all I've been playing. That I have nothing further to report. That's it. Just Diablo 2.
No thoughts, just Diablo 2.
No thoughts, head empty, just Diablo 2. We have got a couple of questions from chats, not from chat, from Discord rather, from the community that are not Mario movie related. So I thought we would quickly hit those before we got into the Mario movie. And actually, there's a question specifically for Cheezy that I want to hit real quick. It's like a compound question. Quagmire submitted a question that was about the movie, but then a follow-up question for Cheezy. So I'm actually going to hit that first. Cheezy, this is for you.
Okay.
Question for Cheezy. When are you and John Ebo doing a PPV MMA fight night to settle your beef? And why will it be live on April 13th's episode of Nintendo Powercast?
Wow, yeah. They weren't supposed to know that, but yeah, that's actually happening.
Got leaked.
We submitted it for Creator Clash. We didn't get picked for some reason.
Oh my god, that would be incredible. I mean, I don't want to see either of you get real life hurt. At the same time, that would be incredible.
Yeah. I don't know how that would go because I don't think that we are fighters, if I'm being honest.
Right.
So it would be very interesting to see, like, I might get a little aggressive, like competitive wise. But yeah, maybe we'll have to do that.
Yeah,
I'll talk to Johnny and see if he likes the idea of me kicking his butt.
Right. You feel like you feel like you could just drop that dude like a bag of dirt, huh?
Just
knock him out cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, you know what? I think you would have speed on your side. I feel like if you had enough adrenaline going through you, enough cheese pumping through those veins, I feel like you would just go wild on them.
Like what comes to mind is the Simpsons episode where Homer is a boxer and everybody is going up against him and they get so tired because they can't knock him out. I feel like maybe that would happen with Johnny and he just throws one punch and I'm out because I've used up all my energy. So I don't know. It's a good question though, Quagmire.
Yeah. That is a good question. So, okay, I'm glad. Well, I guess we'll have that to look forward to on April 13th's episode of Nintendo Powercast, where of course Cheezy is a co-host, and we'll chat about that certainly later. But we've got a question here from Skinny Matt, who asks, "Who all is playing Dredge? The horror fishing game has me hooked. No pun intended. If you're not playing it," and then he just posted the Reggie Fils-Aimé "What's Wrong with You" GIF. Any of y'all playing Dredge? I don't think either of you are, right?
No. I had to actually look up to see what it was. Not because of his question, but when I first heard of it, I didn't know anything about it. So I had to like look into it. I can maybe see why Skinny Matt's gonna play it because of the fishing aspect of it. It's very Stardew-esque.
I could see that. Totally.
Yeah. So I think that's probably why it's interesting to him. It is like a horror though. It starts getting more horror, right, as you play it.
That's what I hear. Yeah, it starts off as just like a fishing game, and then it becomes like kind of weird and like Lovecraftian throughout the course of it, or something like that. This is what I hear. I haven't played it either. It's on my radar. I want to play it, but you know, there's too many games, and then I'm going out and watching this Mario movie 2 times. So, you know, ain't nobody got time for that. But I will get to it eventually.
I just kept thinking everybody was making a typo, which like I make typos all the time, so there's no judging. But I'm like, do you mean Dread? Because I've played Dread. Like, why are people playing Dread again? Which I mean, you should play Dread.
Yeah. You should play Dread, but Dredge, I'll get to it eventually. Let me answer this question here from chat from Starlord. Welcome in, Starlord, here in the live chat. Who's better, Mario or Luigi? We know Lachlan's answer, and she didn't answer in chat. Luigi all the way. Cheezy, who's better for you, Mario or Luigi?
It's Luigi. It's Luigi all the way. I actually was going to wear my Player 2 shirt, and I put it on, and I was like, I love you, Luigi, but green is just not my color. You know, like I know
No?
this about myself. No, yeah,
I bet you'd
green
look good
doesn't
in
work.
green.
Yeah,
Really? That
yeah.
surprises me. I'm not gonna. That surprises me. Yeah, it's Luigi all the way.
Oh
There's
yeah,
no way it's not Luigi.
yeah.
All right. And then last non-Mario related question I think that we have here comes from Neon Tiger. With E3 seemingly dead, what are your favorite memories of past E3s, E3 events? So we don't really like talk about news too much here on the show, but
What
E3
is new?
was like a yeah, exactly. E3 was officially canceled last week, which is sad, and it's probably like the final nail in the coffin for E3. Sadly, it is what it is. But we didn't really talk about it here on the show because it ain't that kind of show. But guys, what are your favorite moments or memories of past E3s? Cheesy, we'll start with you. So Lachlan has
Man.
time to think.
I can make mine real short. I don't have any
Okay.
moments. I don't have
Oh, fair
anything.
enough. Well,
Have
there
no
you go.
memories.
Easy.
Oh man, I mean, 2017's, at least for Nintendo, their E3 was just a banger, and it just had so many good games. That's when we got the logo for Metroid Prime 4. That's we got a
True.
new Yoshi game. Mario Odyssey was shown, and then it was coming out 3 months later.
Yeah.
It was just like a really big time. But I'm trying to think, like before that was probably just um Everyone is Here was pretty iconic for
Huge.
Smash Bros. I didn't like
Yeah.
that E3 or like that direct very much because obviously like the big thing was for Smash Brothers. But they really didn't have anything else for that E3, which they
Sure.
didn't need to, you know. But like I don't know, what memory do you have?
I mean so many. I mean Nintendo at E3 was Nintendo, the thing about Nintendo is they did do E3 right. You know, like
Hmm.
Nintendo did E3 absolutely correctly every single time. And it, you know, for me, I think about like memorable E3 tie-in Nintendo Directs, the year that they had the Robot Chicken stuff, the
Hmm.
year
Hmm.
that they had the Star Fox puppets, you know, like that stuff is all great. But even like the on-stage stuff, like when we were all first introduced to the larger than life personality that is Reggie Fils-Aimé at
Hmm.
E3, you know. And yeah, I love all that stuff, man. The cool reveals, even the flubs, even like the memorable, like when Skyward Sword wasn't working properly on stage,
Yeah.
when they're all awkwardly playing Wii music on stage,
Ooh.
you know.
The
I
fireworks for Nintendo Land was like their big reveal at the end
yeah.
of what was that, like 2013 or something, and it's just like these really weak fireworks, and I was like, oh, that was it.
Yeah, I even love that. Like I even love the awkward bad stuff. So yeah, man. I definitely I have a lot of like love for those Nintendo moments you through. The thing about it is like we just don't really need it anymore, frankly. We just Nintendo is kind of doing their own thing, and I think they're totally fine to do their own thing at this point. But certainly some good memories. I remember they they shadow dropped Rhythm Heaven Megamix during a treehouse post E3 treehouse,
Hmm.
which was crazy for me and like the two other people watching it. We were like, hang on, what? Um I think it was E3 2016, the one where like all they had was Breath of the Wild, like they didn't do a proper direct.
Yeah.
Um yeah, it was that, and so it was just Breath of the Wild, and then they had like a treehouse live or whatever where they showed off a handful of games, and one of them was Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix, and they just shadow dropped it during the treehouse. Like this is crazy. So anyways, yeah, those are a few of mine. Um, I think that's all the non Mario movie related questions we had. So I think we ought to just like rip off the band-aid
Get into it.
and get into it, man. Non-spoiler chat here about the Mario movie. I you know, the things that we're gonna kind of talk about are gonna be things that were covered like in trailers and stuff. We'll speak vaguely about stuff. We're not gonna overtly spoil anything. in the from the movie or anything like that. But Quagmire, the first half of Quagmire's question, I feel like is a kind of broad sort of thing that I'll ask you guys. Quagmire says, "My daughter and I are seeing the movie tonight. Question for the group: is the movie good? Are any of the critics' complaints valid? Y'all, top level thoughts about the Super Mario Brothers movie. Cheezy, is it good? Are the critics' complaints valid?"
It's fun. I mean, if you're a fan of the 1993 Super Mario Bro movie,
Oh, do you mean this one that I have at arm's reach at all times?
oh my god, that is amazing.
Arm's reach. You
it's
just
apparently number 1 on Amazon right now for bestsellers.
It is
insane. Yeah. No, you're gonna love this movie. Like it's a blast. It feels like you like step in a time machine and you're transported back to all the times that you have played a Mario game or memories that you have collected, and it is just pure fun.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, this is some of the most fun I've ever had with a movie. Lachlan, is the movie good? Are the critics' complaints valid?
I think this might be controversial, yet brave to say.
Oh, snap.
The movie was great.
Oh, a sigh of relief. Controversial statement.
Controversial yet brave. Yes, I think it was great. It's I don't know. I'm trying to like think of like how I'm gonna answer all these questions and just talk about the movie without being spoilery or spoiling anything for anyone, because we watched it the day it came out, and there's a lot of people that have yet to see it, which you got Easter weekend and things preparing. Not everyone's watching it the first time it drops or watched it twice since it came out. But it was great.
No comment.
It was great. Yeah. I'll just say for now, it is great. I know we'll get into it a little bit more.
Yeah, and I really loved it too. I saw it the first showing on Wednesday, and then I saw it again earlier today, and I really loved it too. I think the interesting conversation comes from like, are the critics' complaints valid? Because now, somewhat famously, infamously, this movie got kind of panned a little bit on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like certified rotten or whatever on Rotten Tomatoes. And I really do feel this way. And I'm not somebody who normally stands up like in defense. I don't really care, quite frankly, about critics, or I really don't. But I do feel like a lot of people just sort of like misunderstood what this movie was trying to be. I think that a lot of people came in expecting it to be, Academy Award bait, tear jerker, Pixar level. Like, I don't think this movie was ever supposed to be that. Like, I think this is an Illumination movie. This is a movie that is for kids. This is not trying to be the best. This movie is not going to like change your life or whatever. It's just fun. Like, it's just supposed to be fun. And like, when it comes to being fun, I don't think I've ever had more raw fun watching a movie than I have watching this. Like, it's so breathless, just the pace of it. It is like almost to its detriment, and we'll get into that, I guess, in a little bit. But like, man, I had so much fun watching this movie. It is an absolute blast. And I think if you're a Mario fan, there is so much here for you. Like, so much here. This is also maybe the single most Easter egg stuffed movie I've ever seen. The nostalgia, the humor of it. The movie's way funnier than I thought it would be. I adore this movie.
Yeah. And like, even for the critics trying to like understand where they're coming from, it's such a fun movie. So like, even if you aren't a Mario fan, like obviously we're biased, but not because it was a great movie. If you're not a Mario fan, I think you're still going to enjoy it. Like, it is kind of cartoony, fast paced, it kind of bouncing off the walls kind of energy, but it still is fun. I don't know. Like, I would be very curious to hear somebody else's opinion that isn't a Mario fan, that isn't also Rotten Tomatoes, because some of some of the criticism was that, oh yeah, it's a kids movie right out the gate. I'm sorry, it sounds like somebody didn't watch all the Illumination movies before the Mario movie came out, so you
Like
didn't even
you
get
did.
I was just about to ask. I was going to bring that up too. Like, I've been following your thread, Cheezy, on
Yeah.
Twitter
Uh-huh.
of you going through and watching all the movies and such. Like, I haven't even seen all of the Illumination movies.
Neither.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
It
I saw
was
like the
interesting.
first Secret Life of Pets, but I didn't watch the second one, like those types
Yeah.
of things. So,
Wait, they made 2 of those?
yeah.
They did. Yep.
I had no idea they made a sequel. My wife and I watched the first one. I had no clue they made another one. Hand to God, I had no clue they made another one.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It was an interesting journey because the Illumination movies, I think, are very memeable, and like
Yeah.
people like to give
Sure.
them a bad rap. So when I was watching it, I think maybe I had kind of a closed mind for the first couple of movies. Well, the first one is Despicable Me, and like
Mhm.
we
Right.
all know what that has grown into. So it's kind of hard to see it for what it is. But as I'm watching it, like I kind of forgot what it's like just to be a kid and look at it from that perspective, because they're not
Right.
supposed to be these great kind of Pixar movies. They're for kids, and it's not like animation is for kids. I don't believe that, but I do think that most of the time these Illumination movies are targeted towards kids,
Yeah.
which
I
is
agree.
why there was a ton of Mario references in their movies. And it was like very coincidental, but it also became like, whoa, maybe this was something that was like hinted at, because like not all of their movies, but most of their movies either had like a Nintendo, Mario, or Donkey Kong reference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you think watching all of those prepared you for the Mario movie?
Yeah, I think it kind of gave me a better idea of like what to expect for the Mario movie. But at the same time, this is the best Illumination movie. And I really do think that it's because of Miyamoto being there for like the whole project. I'm sure that it's his baby. So like, I don't know how much Illumination did creatively. And he was like, okay, yeah, you do it. And then I will like look over your shoulder and say like if it's okay, or if he was the one that was like it has to be this all the way through.
Yeah. It is clear that Miyamoto had deep involvement. Like, again, this isn't a spoiler, but like in the opening credits roll in the first scene, it's like a Shigeru Miyamoto and Chris Meledandri production. I'm like, this is crazy right now that we're even just seeing that, which is nice. So I definitely think that there's some of that. I also think to the point of like other Illumination movies kind of like planting these seeds, I bet you that Illumination's probably been courting Nintendo on this for like years, which is common. Like people will come to Nintendo and say, hey, we want to do this thing, and Nintendo will like put them through the ringer because they're so precious and guarded with their IP. So like it wouldn't shock me one bit if Illumination was like, hey Nintendo, we want to work with you pretty please, and they start putting in all these little Easter eggs and stuff, and then finally Nintendo sort of gives in and this is what we got. And they have, and of course Nintendo has been because of that 1993 movie, they haven't brought Mario to the big screen in nearly 30 years. Like in May, that movie will be 30 years old. And so, like it's a pretty crazy like turn of events to have this all coalesce. And I wanted to back up to something you mentioned, Cheezy, because we got a question from Drellesh who says, question for the show. As someone who did not grow up being exposed to Mario that much, would I still enjoy that movie, or will most of it go over my head? And that I think is a really interesting question, because a lot of this movie is fan service, and there are quite a few just sort of like, this movie was so clearly made by fans for fans. And I am really curious if you just did not even have an inkling in your head of like anything Mario, how you would react to it. Now, I did see it with my family, like my mom, who doesn't care or know thing one about Mario. And she still really enjoyed it and she followed along and had fun and stuff. But I am curious what the average moviegoer would think about this, picking up on none of that,
So The thing that I find really interesting about the Mario movie is that it does have a script problem, but for me, like one of the biggest things or problems that I have with Hollywood today is in like theater and playwriting, they tell you to show, don't tell, and a lot of today is tell and not a lot of show. But I feel
Right.
like with this movie, they kind of do both. They show and tell, and um, it feels like you're playing a Mario game because it's about the fun. And Miyamoto has
Right.
said in the past, like he doesn't really care about the story as long as the game is fun, and that's kind of how the Mario movie is. Like you are jumping around a lot. Like we are in one place, and then there's some bit of dialogue, and then you're like in another place, and
Totally.
I love the pacing of it, and like I'm not complaining about how it's just jumping all over the place because as a Mario fan, I think it works. But as the average moviegoer, maybe that's not your thing and you're wanting a little more substance, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you feel any of, because that is a big complaint that that people are kind of saying, and the critics kind of latch onto, is like how sort of threadbare the plot and the narrative is. Like, there's not, it's a very basic, story.
Mm,
It's the story of a Mario game,
hmm.
it's Mario goes to the, they start off in Brooklyn, their events happen, they go to the Mushroom Kingdom, and and like Bowser is evil and he's bad and we have to stop him, and like that, that's the movie. Like it doesn't have like some huge plot twists and all this
Right.
stuff. It goes places that there are a few things that I won't spoil, obviously, that I didn't expect in this movie, especially some things related to like character backstories and things like that.
Mm,
But it is like threadbare, and I do think that that's got a lot to do with the critics' complaints, but it doesn't bother people who are Mario fans because we're kind of used to that. I joked in the Discord. I have a now famous 6+ minute manifesto on this show of what I thought was going to happen in this movie, and I
Hmm.
do think I wrote a better plot for this movie than we got. But with that being said, I was still totally like fine. Like I didn't come into this with furrowed brows saying, "Oh my god, how dare there not be any sort of like baked in lore?" And it's a kids movie. Um, Lockleth, did you find anything in this like for you? Were you looking for a little bit more story out of this?
I think the one, like, takeaway from, like, the movie as a whole, like, I couldn't stop smiling for one, laughed several
Yes.
times. We went, Wednesday night at, like, 10 p.m., so
Mm-hmm.
there wasn't a lot of people at the movie either. There was only one, like, little kid as well. She laughed at one
At
part
10
in the
p.m.
movie. Yeah,
Oh
she
my
was
gosh.
tiny, baby, like 3 years old, looking small. Um, she laughed at one point though, and it kind of made that little moment a little bit more enjoyable though, because like you could hear her laughing from the back. It was so cute. So there was moments that even like somebody her age, she thought it was just so funny. But my main takeaway after, the whole movie was over was I wish it would have been a little longer. But
Yeah.
because it is an Illumination film and that sort, it has to be short attention spans. You can't have it too
Mm-hmm.
long type of thing.
Yeah.
But I did wish for just a little bit more. So I guess in a way, yeah, I was expecting a little bit more, but overall, I just enjoyed, the whole entire thing. But I do wish it was a little longer.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. I could have done with even an extra 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like even just like a little something more, but again, I'm also not like angry. I'm not mad at it, but like
Mm-mm.
if the biggest problem that I have is that I wanted more of it, then we're actually probably in pretty good shape.
Oh
You
yeah.
know. I wanted a little bit more texture to some of the character interactions, and it what the movie feels like to me, for better or for worse, and this isn't something that particularly bothers me, but it does feel like a very sort of like trimmed, focus tested kind of thing where like there ain't a scrap of fat on this thing. Like it is so breathless. It's just go, 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 go. And I think it works to the movie's benefit, but I also think I would have liked a little bit more. I would have liked to see, we do get, like I sort of alluded to, and again, no spoilers, but we do get a little bit more like backstory to some of the characters than I was expecting. I will say that. And there are allusions to backstory things that I think will be expanded upon in sequels. You know, particularly with Princess Peach, that I already, like, my friends and I are just like spinning theories like crazy over Peach in this movie. But like you know, there's more going on than I thought, but I wish there was more, if that makes sense. I don't know.
I think it's a great start to what is possible of like a Nintendo cinematic universe.
Yeah.
They did it. It's amazing to actually just sit there, watch a Nintendo character on the big screen again, animated, and it's great. And you're like, I can't wait for more.
Yeah. I'm almost like, gosh, like I hope that we wind up getting spin-offs, and I hope that we wind up getting, like, you know, this rumored Donkey Kong, you know, movie spin-off. I'm like, I want more of this stuff, you know? And I think this maybe ties into a question that we got from Kevin, who says, I'm seeing the movie tomorrow night and want to know what character stole the show for you. I'm not going to say that he stole the show, but speaking of Donkey Kong, I like Donkey Kong in this movie way more than I was expecting to going in, because I was kind of like critical of, and we can talk about vocal performances too, but I was kind of critical of Seth Rogen just like doing Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. But like, I'm not going to lie, I quite enjoy him in this movie. And I'm actually like really down. If they wind up doing a spinoff, I'm like super down for it, actually.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
I want more.
I'm a big fan of Seth Rogen, so like when they announced Seth Rogen being Donkey Kong, it made sense to me, because I'm like, this guy, you're telling me, isn't someone who's just hanging out in the jungle in a hammock eating bananas all day? Like, it's perfect. But then like when he had an interview just recently that was like, yeah, you know, if you want Donkey Kong to sound like Seth Rogen, well, that's what he's gonna sound like. And it was like,
sound like me.
Yeah,
you know?
That's good. So I was like, to voice actors, that's really crappy. I wish he wouldn't have said that, because there's voice actors who would be putting in the work to make a Donkey Kong voice. The thing is, though, it fits so well, and his voice, I mean, it's so iconic that it makes money on its own. So like, I get what he's saying, but probably wasn't the best to say for voice acting.
Fair. Yeah. Lockliff, what character would you say stood out the most for you in the movie? I feel like I know the answer. But
I had my answer going into the film, which one I would just love, and I wish I would have seen more of this character. Has to go to Luma.
Oh my gosh.
The little star. The cute little star with the negative attitude. That's me to a T. I feel like I relate to her very much, or them, I don't know. I relate to them very much. And, you know, if you've seen the trailers and seen that scene, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Stole this, I already knew that was going to be my number one. Like, I kind of wish I would have cosplayed as Luma going into the theater, but that would have been a little much.
Man.
Blue is not my color.
Well, that's another thing though too. Like, I do wish, because that character is so funny. The movie's actually really funny. You know, like it's actually much funnier there. And this is like, and again, and Cheezy, you probably came into this with a better idea of this than I did, because I haven't seen the vast majority of Illumination movies. But I was surprised how effective like the physical comedy was, like the slapstick kind of like physical comedy. Is like really good. There's a scene towards the beginning of the movie, and again, no spoilers, but there's a scene involving a dog, that is so funny. And it is like, I was dying. Like I was like actually like cackling in the movie theater. And it was, I was like, this normally in any other movie, I feel like this wouldn't work on me. This kind of like Looney Tunes kind of vibe that it has going on right now.
Mhm.
But my goodness, this movie's hilarious. Like there's some really funny moments. And yeah, Luma's one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's hard to admit, but I do like the minions now. Like they're not the greatest. I'm not gonna say
Oh no.
I'm it's almost like it's hard to say, okay, but like yeah, that's totally what you get is that Looney Tune kind of slapstick humor, and it is predictable. You know that they're gonna hurt each other, but sometimes they get a chuckle out of you, you know, and that's kind of
Yeah.
what I got with Mario too. And right from the beginning, there's a minion, not in the movie, but just to have the Illumination title screen.
Oh yes, 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 yes.
And oh, is that a spoiler to say like what happens? Okay,
It's
so there
before
it's
the movie
title.
starts.
It's
Really,
the splash screen.
all right. Well, it's a
Yeah.
minion that's like in a cart, and the Illumination letters light up as if it was like Mario Kart. So it's like ding, 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 and the minion like burns out because it was revving its engine, and then it's trying to like get across even the starting line. And from there, I was smiling. You know, like
Yeah.
they already knew how to capture the fans right from that title screen.
Yeah, man. Oh, it's really, that stuff's really good. Was there a standout character, if you had to call one standout character, Cheesy, for you?
I mean, Jack Black is great. I feel like it's kind of a cop out to say Jack Black because like we already knew that he was gonna crush it.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. Like I could have seen more Luigi. You know, like I needed
Yeah.
more Charlie Day. But I'm kind of surprised. Kind of surprised that like he's there, but it's not as much as I had hoped.
Yeah.
let's
I
hope
do
for
agree with that.
a spin-off or something with just him in the future.
Luigi's
That would be
Mansion.
great.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta imagine, you know, and no spoil. We've seen in the trailers there are, you know, kind of some allusions to that. Perhaps you could very easily see them doing that, you know. And there's definitely some vibes like that, and I almost feel like they were kind of testing the waters there. I would have liked to see more Luigi too. The standout character for me in this was Peach. I was like, this is the best portrayal of Peach, period. Like flat out the best portrayal. She is like she has got so much personality. She's got backstory here that is super interesting, actually, that I hope we get expanded upon. The performance by Anya Taylor-Joy is so good. She even like she's, you know, strong and independent and whatever, and she, you know, it's not the typical damsel in distress story, you know, which I love. But they can also be like goofy with her. Like there's also some like comedy with her that I really like. And yeah, I was so impressed by the characterization of Peach in this movie. Like I came in kind of feeling like she was going to be not a background character, but I didn't think going into this that I was going to just fall in love with this version of Peach. And I came out of it like, this is like by far just like, it's not even close. There's not a close second. This is the best Peach, you know?
Yeah. I will say Keegan definitely deserves some recognition. Toad, Keegan Michael Key played Toad. And like, even though they pitched his voice up in post, he was the one that was putting in work. I mean, we've seen interviews of him talking about how he got to that character's voice. And it's out of everyone that was on the cast, I think Keegan is the one that deserves all the recognition there.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I'm just going to say it. Chris Pratt is a good Mario.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it. He did a good job. He did a good job. I know everybody was memeing on him like before the movie came out. What it was is we didn't really get enough of it. Like we needed to be able to hear it in like long stints, but like in the actual movie, I'm like, this dude's kind of killing it. Like I kind of bought it. And I really like the characterization of Mario in this. He's not he does, he sort of becomes like the Mario we all know and love, but he does kind of sell the original idea of Mario being this like everyman kind of character. He's not all that loud and boisterous. He's kind of quiet, kind of unsure of himself, and like I really liked that. I actually really enjoyed his take. It was like a subtle take on Mario, and like it took only a few minutes for Chris Pratt to just like melt away. I didn't even think of him as being Chris Pratt doing Mario. Like that was just Mario to me,
I will
Yeah.
say for me, like no spoilers, Cranky Kong was probably the most disappointing
I agree.
because it's
Yeah.
Fred Armisen, a man that is known for characters, and it's like that's the voice we went with.
Yeah, it was a weird voice. Let me take your temperature on Cranky Kong, Wackleth, because you're probably not like Cheezy now. You probably didn't have an idea of what Cranky Kong's voice would be coming into this. So
No,
how did Cranky Kong land for you?
he just, I don't know. I mean, him as a character doesn't mean a lot to me. So, like, I didn't really have an opinion. I will say, when we were in the theater, my husband thought that was the main person in Curb Your Enthusiasm. I
Yeah,
can't
Larry
remember his-
Larry
David.
David. I could see that.
We thought it was Larry David for a lot of it until we looked it up, like as we were watching the movie.
I kind
So
of wish that's who it was. Like I feel
That'd
like
actually be kind of
that is a
amazing.
good Cranky Kong. Dang. Yeah,
and
yeah.
and then when we found out who it was, I still felt like it sounded like Larry David more so. So that's the only opinion I guess I have on it.
You saying that actually makes me like it more retroactively. Because he is Fred Armisen is kind of doing this. It's just strange. Like I don't even really know. My wife and I were talking about this on the drive home. I don't really know what I thought Cranky Kong should sound like, but it just wasn't that. Because he
Yeah.
does kind of have this like kind of like old Jewish dad thing going on,
Yeah.
which is like fine, but like it just, yeah, it wasn't how I pictured it. And I don't really know what I wanted, but it wasn't that. But yeah, that kind of was like the one miss for me in terms of the voice cast. It was revealed beforehand that Charles Martinet would have multiple cameos in the movie. I'm not going to spoil what those are. I'll just say that he has 2 cameo roles in the movie, and they're both excellent. And you'll know it when you see it. It's really, really good. And the Easter eggs in this movie are, again, second to none. And I don't want to spoil overtly what they are, but like I just want to tell you guys that this movie, I've seen it twice now, and like I can't wait to get this movie home, like on Blu-ray, so I can just go frame by frame and just look at they have hidden so many little things in every like fragment of this movie, man. Like there is so much. You could pick apart every little scene of this movie and find something. It is wild.
Yeah, but I don't think it's too distracting because sometimes you have
No.
movies that are just throwing in Easter eggs and nods, and it's just like kind of pointing them out. And if you want to find them, they're there, but it's not like they are bringing attention to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. It isn't distracting. It's just like it feels natural. Like it feels like it is a part of this world.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. I loved picking out all those little things, especially on the second time through where I could kind of focus on it. My God, the movie is glorious for that. If you are somebody who, not even just Mario, like if you're somebody who's been a Nintendo fan for a long time, you've got so much to look for in this movie. It is buck wild.
I do have to ask though, for you that has seen it a second time, was there anything that you picked up or that you enjoyed more or with the second viewing?
Yeah. I had thoughts that are spoilery that I sort of crystallized on my second viewing regarding where I think the sequel could go.
Oh, okay.
I'll also see. I'll say this too. There are post-credit scenes Won't say what they are. There are two of them. So anybody watching this who hasn't seen the movie yet, make sure you stay to the very end of the credits, to the very end, because there are two post credit scenes. So be aware of that. But that was a lot of like the stuff I picked up on the second viewing was not only further background stuff. There is, gosh, there's one that I really want to talk about because it relates to my other show, All In. I don't know if you guys caught that.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. There's okay. This is so vague. This is the lightest.
Careful with your wording.
This is the lightest, just an Easter egg. The original Nintendo logo is in this movie. And it is, the Nintendo used to be a playing card company. They used to sell Hanafuda cards. And for All In, we parodied that with that Spade logo. And so it was kind of cool to see Nintendo's original Spade logo in there because it was almost like I was seeing All In the movie. So it was pretty cool. It's stuff like that. Like, to know that the original Nintendo logo is somewhere in this movie, like, is the kind of like loving Easter eggs that are just absolutely everywhere. Like it is, it's absolutely littered with that stuff. Even like little things like the way certain characters move and interact. Like we've seen in the trailers, like the fight scene between Donkey Kong and Mario. Donkey Kong's doing like Smash Brothers, moves in that, in that fight. And like it's just stuff like that is like so cool, and it's happening basically every moment in this movie. Something like that is happening.
I think so go ahead, Lachlan.
I was just gonna say it was interesting to kind of get a look into the different, the powers like you do in the game and such, and how they, interact with those and receive those. It was kind of nice to see those as well. Like in the trailer, it shows Donkey Kong with the fire flower and they, that type of thing. But you see even extra little bits, and they could have just made it super simple, but they made a whole like joke around it, and it was
Oh, it's so good.
It was really
that
good.
Recurring gag with the power up. Oh, it's so good. That was so funny, man, and I relate to it hard.
The superstar of this movie is the music.
Oh yeah,
it is so fluent, and like if you are, I mean, Mario music is just so iconic. So if you're familiar with it, the way that they magically just like put it in the movie, but added like a bit of extra flair to it, it feels like you're on like a Disney book or like a Disney storybook ride.
Yeah,
where it's what's the word I'm trying to like, it just transitions really nicely from one song to the other.
Man, there were 3 moments in this movie that made me get like emotional. And I know that like this isn't like Oscar, but I care so much about Mario and have my entire life. And there are 3 moments that got me, they put a lump in my throat watching this movie for the first time, and 2 of them are music related because the music is so thoughtful and so well considered, and like it just like perfectly placed, exactly in the right spot, exactly in the right moments. It crescendos when it needs to, and it's like it's almost omnipresent. That was another thing I noticed on the second viewing. Like it's like always going, not in a distracting way, but it's like always, like the music is just never not going, and it just makes sense. And like I can't wait. I Am 8-Bit tomorrow is like dropping like some like physical I'm like gonna be there ready to buy some of this music, man. I cannot wait. The music is phenomenal. Brian Tyler, the composer of this, in collaboration with the original Koji Kondo music, and I think Koji Kondo even like helped with the score too. It's magnificent. It's so good. Goodness.
I was gonna ask if you were gonna reference the I Am 8-Bit
Oh
thing
yeah.
going live tomorrow if you wanted to keep that to yourself because you're so excited about it. I was like, is Seth gonna share this or is he not gonna tell everyone in case you missed it? It's like one less person he needs to elbow out of the way to make
Yeah,
sure he
one less
gets.
person in line. Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta get those
No.
sweet deals early in the morn.
No. It'll be okay. You guys, everybody deserves a shot at the Mario movie soundtrack. Yeah, it really is phenomenal. Um, I'm trying to think, like yeah, we've covered the voice cast, the soundtrack. One thing that I'll mention quickly, and again, dancing around spoilers with it. Uh, I like that this movie is a Super Mario Brothers movie. And what I mean by that is I like the relationship between Mario and Luigi.
Mm.
Like I thought that what they did there was, considering how threadbare the narrative is, and again, that is just what the movie is. I thought that they got a surprising amount out of that. I thought they extracted and they paid it off well, and the relationship between them I think was sold really really well. Like even little things that I've never even really heard or considered in past, like the way Mario calls him Lou,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
little stuff like that. I'm like, I really love that. And the scene that we've seen in the trailer where Bowser's interrogating Luigi, and he's like, his name is Mario and he's the best guy ever. I'm just like, they're just cute. Like they're cuties. And I just love them and their relationship so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. For me,
I like that too.
I will say, when it started, it kind of threw me off a little bit because the opening scene is what we saw. The very first scene
Yes.
of Mario is the Bowser going to the Snow Kingdom,
Mhm.
and there is music that is playing, and there's also
Yes.
licensed music throughout the movie. But that
Yes.
licensed music in the beginning, I was like, oh, I was not expecting this, because the way that we
Mhm.
saw the
Yeah.
first trailer kind of made it seem a little more menacing, I guess, and kind of really set a scene. So it kind of threw me off. But once I just accepted that this is how the movie's going to be, and there's licensed music that is actually really well thought out, and it's music that there's one scene just with Donkey Kong, and I won't say what the song is or what's going on, but they chose a really great song that I feel like is now cemented in my head, and that's how I'm going to see the song.
Man, yeah, I was curious if we were going to talk about the licensed music or not. There's licensed music in here, and I like most of it. I think most of it is used well, but there are a couple, like the one that you shouted out in the opening scene.
Yeah.
I don't like that. And I didn't like it the first time. I don't like it the second time. However, speaking vaguely, the second piece of licensed music that happens just with Mario and Luigi in Brooklyn, um, I loved that. I thought that worked super well. And that entire scene, that one
Yeah.
scene is one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. And it can work really well. And then there's another scene where they're sort of where they're gearing up for when they're kind of gearing up for the Mario Kart section that we've seen in the trailers. There's a licensed song that plays during that, and I was kind of like, all right,
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
but yeah, they've, for the most part, it makes sense. And another good thing that they've done here is that the vast majority of them, if not all of them, are 80s, like mid to late 80s
Yeah.
music, which I
Mhm.
think just speaks to the care that the team behind this movie has taken to make this appeal to the target demographic. The people who are watching this, the parents who are watching this, are going to see that, and they're going to feel nostalgic for the era that they were playing Mario in.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's the kind of music that was on when the NES was out, and when Mario, so I like that. Again, this is just a very small detail that you can tell they put a lot of thought into. So yeah, I do really like that a lot. Man,
I
I
just
feel
want
like
to sing. I just want to sing one of the songs that popped in my head, but I won't. I won't. It's like it's been going on in a loop since I watched the film. Every now and again, it's living in my brain, rent free, for probably
yeah.
the next week. So yeah, the music was great. That's all I've got to say.
Oh my gosh, there's so much that I want to say that I
Yeah.
can't say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like and that's the thing is like to talk about this movie in a non-spoiler context is just hard. Like it's difficult. There's so much to like here though. And it's also, and this maybe goes back to what we were talking about earlier about the criticisms and like if you look at this movie from an objective standpoint, it has problems and it doesn't like it doesn't have like those motivations that you're looking for from absolutely everybody. It has a little bit more, but it doesn't have quite enough. And that's all fine. If you're looking at this movie objectively, it does have objective problems. However, I don't care to critique this movie objectively. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I know that sounds like a cop out, but like I really don't. Like I really don't care I'm just like this movie was made exactly for me and
Mm.
I'm just having like subjective fun with this and just like rainbows shooting out of my eyes having like an amazing time. So, yeah. I don't know, man. I just really like this movie, you guys.
Just ready
Sean
for
over in the
more.
chat.
Oh, same. I did want to ask you, Cheesy, too, because another like thread that you had on Twitter was
Mhm.
kind of the Easter eggs that Illumination has done throughout their films too, that kind of nod to Nintendo as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah.
Was it interesting to like, did you just see those as you were watching? Were you looking for those as you went back and watched all of those films before the Mario Bros?
So that wasn't even going to be a thread, but like
Yeah.
as I was watching the Illumination movie, the
It just
first
came.
yeah, like in Despicable Me, Vector, the villain, is playing with a Nintendo Wii. And I was like, whoa, how full circle have we come that like Illumination is has a Nintendo product in their movie, but now Nintendo has a theme park at Universal Studios, and also just the fact that they've made Illumination movie. So then I was like, that's interesting. And then the Lorax had two where the one slur mentions playing Donkey Kong. Like, don't you kids play your Donkey Kongs? And something
Oh,
like
wow.
that. And then Ted, also the main character of that movie, has a Game Boy Micro. And that one was shocking to me because Game Boy
Wow.
Micro was not a popular handheld because that was kind of around the time of when the Nintendo DS line was coming out. So what a weird handheld to put in your movie. And then after that, Secret Life of Pets, there's the two characters that are the two dogs that they are like in the sewer with a bunch of other animals. It's a weird movie, but they're in a sewer and they hit a turtle and it's knocking down enemies, but it's also making video game sounds and they hop over the shell. Come on. I mean, like that's a
Yeah.
clear reference to Mario. Sing, there's a bouncer gorilla in that movie whose name is Mario. I'm trying to think. There was Sing 2 has a Cardi B song in it, and if I forget what song it is, but she says about my coins like Mario. I run this like cardio. And I get that it's a Cardi B song, but they don't play the whole song and specifically put that Mario line in their movie. So I'm like, what is happening? What is going on here? Like it probably was just coincidental. These are kids movies and they're like, oh, kids like Nintendo. Let's throw some of those fun references in there. But also like it could have been planting seeds. Like what you were saying earlier. And I've made TikToks about this. Even if they weren't planting seeds, you put it out into the universe and who knows like what will happen because you were just like maybe in the writer's room and you're like, hey, let's get our Nintendo joke in there. And then maybe Nintendo saw and was like, hey, can we make a movie with you guys? And you just don't know until you put yourself out there and you'll see what happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great takeaway. I love that. Today I learned throughout the course of this conversation that they not only made another Secret Life of Pets, but they made another Sing. I had no idea that these movies existed, you guys. No clue. And I mean, this movie is already doing super well, even just in the opening weekend. There's not a chance they don't make more of these. And I wanted to go back to this comment here in the chat, this question from McBeal in the chat regarding the future of this franchise. They asked, do you think Illumination / Nintendo's decision to make further movies will be influenced by the negative critic response? And my answer to that is no.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that Illumination or Nintendo care about their Rotten Tomatoes score. I really don't.
Nope. And if anything, the Rotten Tomatoes score just has helped them even more to get people in theaters, because if the score is that bad, you have some people that are like, well, let's go see how bad this movie is, or is it really that bad? Let's go see, and also you just have the fans that are like, I don't believe that for a second, so I'm going to go purchase a ticket.
Well, it makes me wonder what the other Illumination films have scored.
Not great.
Because if it's all been the same, then of course they're not going to be bothered, for future films too.
Yeah.
They care about two things. They care about, first and foremost, sales, which they already have, right? The sales are already great. So they've checked that box, right? Yep. And then second, they care about the audience reception. And the audience score is phenomenal. Right. So I think right now, last I checked, I think it was at like a 54% critic rating, but like a 96% audience rating. And then, spoiler alert, when they put out their critical reception tweet or whatever, it was the audience score that they showed. That's the one that they actually care about. They care about sales and they care about what the audience thinks. Now, what I do hope is that the team behind this and moving forward, I hope that they do look at some of the criticisms that we do have. I think there is valid criticism to lodge here. And I hope that in the follow-up that I'm sure we're going to get, they do take some of this stuff to heart. I hope that there is a little bit more depth. And now that we've kind of gotten the world building and the basic character groundwork laid, I do kind of hope for a little bit more depth in the follow-up, but this was still, what a phenomenal first entry. I really couldn't be happier with the movie. So anyways, let me not, McBeal here in the chat says Despicable Me has an 80 on Rotten Tomatoes. So there you go.
Okay, then.
That I guess is a thing.
I mean, that was like the first one, right?
Yeah, it's the first one.
Yeah. So it was like
story.
It was new and all that. So it's new.
Yeah,
it's new. Yeah. That's why. But it was a good movie. It was a great movie. But I do have my physical.
Yes.
If we want to show it for the evening, it's actually very similar to Cheezy's. I'm making all the sounds trying to lift it up. But I got my metal tin from the film.
Y'all got that cool tin.
Yeah, I wasn't going to get it because I'm like, it's just a question mark block. That's something that I probably can find anywhere. And then somebody lifted the bottom of it, and I was like, oh, does that say the Super Mario Bros. Movie on it?
That's so much cooler than the one I got.
What is yours? What is yours?
It's in the kitchen. I should have brought it. I washed it out. It's in the kitchen because we had popcorn in it. So we went to a Cinemark theater, and I think that was like AMC, right? That had those.
Yeah.
AMC has the question mark blocks. Yeah.
Yeah. So we went to a Cinemark theater, and the Cinemark theater's tin is like a normal circular tin that just has the basic artwork of like Mario and Toad and Peach, like just the artwork you see on like the posters. It's very boring. I liked that tin a lot better, but it is what it is. I still bought it. Of course I did.
Do you want me to go see the film again and get you the tin?
I mean, look, if you wind up going and seeing the film again and you want to pick up another tin, I'm not going to say no.
You're not going to stop me from doing it.
I will not stop you from doing it. But Cheezy, thank you so much for coming on, hanging out, dude. I want to point people in your direction, man. Tell us a little bit about you, Nintendo Powercast, the stuff that you do on like TikTok, where people can follow you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, dude.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, thank you to both of you, Lockleth, Seth. I love the Nintendo Drive, so I was happy that
Aw.
I got to be on here to talk about the Mario movie, and we've talked about it a lot, but I feel like we could still keep going.
Absolutely.
But my name is Cheezy, and I'm a Nintendo Splatoon content creator, Splatoon lore enthusiast, I guess, if you will.
Yes.
Kind of like Seth, I just love lore and world building. And I'm on TikTok, I'm on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram. I'm going to be making some YouTube videos. And I'm also on the Nintendo Powercast, but you can find me at CheezyC64, CheezyC64.
Nice. Yeah, we love what you do, man. I'm a big fan of yours, and I love kind of watching your growth and seeing what you're doing. You guys are gonna find links to follow Cheezy in the description. So please show Cheezy all of your love and support. Absolutely. And it's weird because like Lockleth is normally the one to be like, where can people find you or whatever? But Lockleth, where
I-
can what's
Cheesy,
that?
you
What's
missed
that?
your opportunity.
I missed it. Yep, I did.
He realized he
Oh.
didn't make it super complicated and
Do
Yeah,
you want
funny.
to do a redo? Go for it. Did you have something in mind? Go ahead.
Yeah, if you have your old 2000 hit clip player and you play the NSYNC song
Oh
Bye
my
Bye Bye
gosh.
backwards, you can find me at CheezyC64, CheezyC64.
That's a good one.
Eep, eep,
That's-
eep.
That's a
Instead of bye,
good
bye,
one,
bye.
dude. Yeah. Lockleth, where can people find you, my friend?
Well, y'all can find me here on YouTube at Lockleth, on Twitter at LocklethTWT. I will say, go follow Cheezy on Twitter and go check out those threads that we previously mentioned if you're curious. And you can find me here as part of the Nintendo Drive as well as part of Carpool Gaming. Seth, yourself?
You can find me here as part of the Nintendo Drive and also as part of Carpool Gaming, of course. You can find me on All-In at All-In Podcast, of course. And you can, if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can take a PlayStation Portable and
Jesus.
utilize the UMD Universal Media Disc or whatever the heck that stands for. Access your web browser on there and go to www.twitter.com/$2hero. I appreciate y'all very much. Thank you.
But thank y'all for hanging out with us for today's episode. Episode 99 and a half. Okay.
That's right.
Episode 100 will be next week. But bump that like button if you haven't already and fuel this carpool in the comments below with your favorite character from the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Let us know and let us know why it's your favorite character. Let us know. We're curious. Is it
Let us
Luma?
know.
Please say it's Luma because I will cry.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the new Nintendo Drive. Now, before you drive off, be sure to like the stream and subscribe here on YouTube and follow us at Carpool Gaming on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. If you liked what you saw and want more, be sure to support us on Patreon at patreon.com/Carpool Gaming.
Geek.